Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I am so happy you are here with us today. I am Tom, and sitting right across from me, looking very ready to chat, is Ria. Hi, Ria.
Hi, Tom, and hello to all our wonderful listeners. I am definitely ready to chat today. Actually, chatting is exactly what we are here to talk about, isn't it?
It certainly is. You know, Ria, we get so many messages from our listeners. They study hard, they learn grammar, they memorize vocabulary lists, but then the moment comes. They meet a native speaker, or they join a conversation group, and nothing.
Silence.
Exactly. The dreaded silence, the awkward pause. They tell us, Tom, Ria, why can't I keep the conversation going? My mind just goes blank.
Oh, I know that feeling. I think we all know that feeling. It is that moment where your brain just freezes. You're standing there, smiling, nodding, hoping the other person keeps talking because you have absolutely no idea what to say next. It is terrifying.
It really is. It feels like the pressure is crushing you. You start sweating a little bit. You start thinking, oh no, they think I'm boring. They think I don't understand. And then the anxiety makes it even harder to speak. It's a vicious cycle.
It is a cycle, Tom, but I want to start by telling everyone listening right now something very important. This is not just a language problem. This is a human problem. Even native English speakers have moments where they run out of things to say. It happens on first dates. It happens at networking events. It happens in elevators.
That is such a good point. We assume that because we're learning English, the silence is our fault. We blame our vocabulary or our grammar, but sometimes conversations just stall naturally. However, for our listeners, I know that the language barrier adds a huge layer of fear. So let's dig into this. Why does the mind go blank?
I think the biggest reason is fear. Specifically, the fear of making a mistake. When you're so worried about using the correct verb tense or the right preposition, you stop listening to the other person. You are too busy editing your own sentence in your head before you even say it.
Yes, you're writing a script in your mind instead of being present in the moment. I've done this in other languages. Someone is telling me a story about their weekend, and instead of enjoying the story, I'm frantically thinking, okay, how do I say that sounds fun in the past tense? By the time I figure it out, the conversation has moved on.
Exactly. You miss the flow. A conversation is like a dance, Tom. If you're staring at your feet the whole time trying to get the steps perfect, you're going to bump into people. You have to look up. You have to feel the rhythm. You have to let go of perfection.
Let go of perfection. I love that. But Ria, that is easier said than done. How do we actually do that? How do we keep the ball rolling when we feel stuck?
Well, let's look at the most common trap people fall into. I call it the interview trap.
The interview trap. That sounds ominous. What is that?
It is when you try to keep a conversation going by just asking a list of unrelated questions. For example, Tom, pretend we just met. Ask me a question.
Okay. Hi, Ria. Where are you from?
I'm from New York.
Okay. What is your job?
I'm a teacher.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
Yes, one brother.
Okay. Do you like pizza?
Stop. Stop right there, Tom. How did that feel?
It felt terrible. It felt robotic. It didn't feel like we were connecting at all. I was just throwing questions at you, hoping one of them would stick.
Exactly. That is the interview trap. You are asking closed questions, questions that have a simple yes, no, or one-word answer. It puts all the pressure on you to think of the next question, and it puts pressure on me to just answer and wait. That is not a conversation. That is an interrogation.
So how do we fix that? Because I think a lot of English learners rely on those questions because they're safe. We learn them in textbooks. Where are you from? What do you do? It's comfortable.
It is comfortable, but it kills the conversation. The secret is to pivot from closed questions to open questions. But even more than that, it's about follow-up questions.
Follow-up questions. Can you give us an example? Let's try that dialogue again.
Okay. Ask me where I'm from again.
So, Ria, where are you from?
I'm from New York.
Oh, New York. I've seen it in so many movies. What is the best thing about living there?
Oh, that's a great question. Honestly, it's the energy. You can walk out the door at 2 a.m. and get a bagel or see people. The city feels alive. It makes you feel like anything is possible.
Wow, see? That felt completely different. I felt your emotion there.
Exactly. And look at what you did. You didn't just say, okay, and move to the next topic. You took my answer, you connected it to something you knew, movies, and then you asked a question that required me to give an opinion or a feeling. You ask, what is the best thing about it?
So the key is to be curious about the answer you just received rather than rushing to the next topic.
Precisely. Curiosity is the fuel of conversation. If you are genuinely curious about the person, you will never run out of things to say. If I say, I am a teacher, don't just say, okay. Ask me, do you enjoy it? Or, what is the hardest part about teaching? Or, how long have you been doing that?
I like that. It takes the pressure off me to be interesting. I just have to be interested in you.
That is the golden rule, Tom. To be interesting, be interested. People love talking about themselves. If you give them the chance to share their story or their feelings, they will think you are the best conversationalist in the world, even if your grammar isn't perfect.
That is so reassuring. But Ria, what happens if the other person is the one giving short answers? Sometimes you try to ask open questions, and they just say, it was good, or it is fine. Then you feel stuck again.
That is tough. Some people are just shy, or maybe they are having a bad day. But there is another technique I love using for this. It is called using bridge phrases.
Bridge phrases. I haven't heard of that term. What does it mean?
A bridge phrase is a way to connect what they said to something in your own life, which then invites them back in. It is about sharing a little piece of yourself to make them feel comfortable.
Okay, show me how that works. Let's say I am the shy person with short answers.
Okay. Tom, how was your weekend?
It was fine.
Okay, that is very Dre. So instead of panicking, I could use a bridge. I could say, oh, just fine. That reminds me of my weekend. I actually did absolutely nothing, and honestly, it was amazing to just rest. Do you usually like busy weekends or quiet ones?
Oh, I see what you did there. You validated my short answer. You shared a little bit about your own weekend being quiet, and then you threw the ball back to me with a choice.
Right. And because I shared something first, it makes you feel less like you're being interviewed. It feels more like a sharing of experiences.
And asking, do you like busy weekends or quiet ones, is easier to answer than just, how was it? It gives me options.
Yes, giving options is a great trick. If you ask someone, what kind of movies do you like? They might freeze and forget every movie they have ever seen. But if you ask, do you prefer action movies or comedies? It's much easier for their brain to process.
That is so true. Narrowing the scope helps. Talking about this, I realized that another reason people struggle to keep a conversation going is that they feel they have to be serious. They feel they have to talk about important topics like news or politics or culture.
Oh, absolutely not. Please do not start with politics unless you know the person very well. The best conversations often come from the smallest, silliest things. Small talk gets a bad reputation, but small talk is just the doorway to big talk.
The doorway to big talk. I like that. So talking about the weather isn't actually bad.
Not at all, if you do it right. If you say, it is raining, and stop, that is boring. But if you say, I cannot believe this rain, it makes me want to stay in bed with a hot chocolate all day. Do you like rainy days? Now you're talking about comfort, about preferences, about feelings.
It always comes back to feelings, doesn't it?
It does. Facts are dry. Feelings are sticky. They connect us. If you can move the conversation from facts, like where you live or what you do, to feelings, like how you feel about where you live or why you chose your job, you will never have an awkward silence.
I want to talk about something else that causes silence. It's the fear of not understanding the answer. I think some of our listeners are afraid to ask a follow-up question because they're worried the person will start speaking fast and using complicated slang, and then they will be lost.
That is a very real fear, the fear of getting in too deep. But Tom, let me ask you, if you are talking to someone learning your language and they look confused, do you get angry?
No, never. I want to help them. I usually slow down or try to say it in a different way.
Exactly. Most people are nice. Most people want to be understood. If you get lost in a conversation, don't just nod and smile. That is the worst thing you can do, because eventually they will ask you a question based on what they just said, and you will look panic-stricken.
I have been there. Someone tells a sad story, and I am just smiling and nodding because I didn't understand, and then I realize, oh no, I am smiling at a tragedy. That is the worst.
Oh no, that is awkward. So, honesty is your best tool. It keeps the conversation real. If you get lost, just say, I am so sorry. I am loving this story, but I missed that last part. Could you say it again?
That is actually a really confident thing to do. It shows you're engaged. It shows you care enough to want to understand properly.
Yes, it is confident. Pretending to understand is insecure. Asking for clarification is confident. And usually, the other person will be happy to explain. It actually keeps the conversation going longer because now you are negotiating meaning together.
Negotiating meaning. That sounds fancy, but it really just means figuring it out together. You know, Ria, there's another technique I use when I really don't know what to say. I call it the echo.
The echo. Tell us about that.
Well, sometimes my brain really is empty, so I just repeat the last few words the person said, but with a questioning intonation.
Give me an example.
Okay, tell me something about your day.
Well, I had to take my car to the mechanic this morning.
The mechanic?
Yes, it was making this terrible clunking sound, and I was worried the engine was going to explode.
Explode?
I know, it sounds dramatic, but I was on the highway and
See, you keep talking.
you're right, I didn't even notice you were doing it. It felt like you were urging me to continue.
Exactly. It's a psychological trick. By repeating the word, I'm signaling that I'm listening and that I want to hear more about that specific thing. It gives me a few seconds to think, and it encourages you to elaborate.
That is brilliant, and it's so simple. You don't need complex grammar to do that. You just need to listen for the keyword. But Tom, we have to talk about listening, because everything we have discussed, follow-up questions, bridge phrases, echoing, all of it depends on listening.
Yes, active listening. I think many English learners listen to translate. They hear a word, they translate it. They hear the next word, they translate it. By the time they have translated the first sentence, the speaker is on the third sentence.
That is the translation lag. It's exhausting. You cannot keep a conversation going if your brain is tired from translating. You have to learn to listen for the message, not just the individual words.
How do you do that? How do you stop the translation habit?
You have to trust your brain. Your brain is amazing. It can understand context even if you don't know every single word. If I say, the exorbitant price of the ticket made me furious, and you don't know the word exorbitant, You can still understand that I'm angry about the price. You don't need to stop and panic about that one word.
So focus on the emotion and the general idea.
Yes. And look at the body language. Look at the tone of voice. A conversation is 50% words and 50% nonverbal communication. If you focus too hard on the grammar, you miss the smile, the shrug, the eye roll. Those things tell you what to say next.
That is so true. Sometimes a shared laugh is better than a perfect sentence.
Always. Connection over perfection. I will say it 1,000 times. Connection over perfection.
Ria, I want to address a specific group of listeners, the introverts. We have a lot of introverted listeners who find conversation draining even in their native language. Doing it in English feels like climbing Mount Everest.
To my introverted friends listening, I hear you. I'm actually quite introverted myself in certain situations. The energy required to speak a second language is double. It's okay to be tired. It's okay to take breaks.
What advice do you have for them specifically?
Preparation. Introverts often feel better when they're prepared. Now, I don't mean scripting out a dialogue. I mean having a few go-to topics or stories in your pocket.
Like a mental toolbox.
Yes, think about 3 things that happened to you this week. Maybe you saw a funny dog. Maybe you cooked a new recipe and burnt it. Maybe you read an interesting article. Have those 3 little stories ready. So when the silence comes, you can say, actually, that reminds me, I tried to cook lasagna yesterday and it was a disaster.
I love that. It's like having ammunition ready. You don't have to use it, but knowing it's there makes you feel safer.
Exactly. And also for introverts, remember that being a good listener is a superpower. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room. You don't have to dominate the conversation. Being the person who listens deeply and asks one thoughtful question is often more memorable than the person who talks nonstop.
That is a relief to hear. Sometimes I feel like I have to perform when I speak English, like I have to be this funny, outgoing character, but I can just be myself.
Please just be yourself. If you are quiet, be quiet and thoughtful in English. If you are funny, be funny in English. Don't try to change your personality just because you are changing the language. That is too much work.
Let's talk about how to end a conversation. Sometimes we want to keep it going, but sometimes the conversation is dying and we don't know how to leave. That can be just as awkward as the silence.
Oh, the awkward exit. Standing there wondering who walks away first.
Yes, sometimes you drag a conversation out just because you don't know how to say goodbye.
The key to a good exit is the summary and the future reason.
Summary and future reason. Break that down for us.
The summary is acknowledging what you talked about. It was so great to hear about your trip to New York. That makes the other person feel heard. The future reason is why you have to go. I should get going. I have a meeting in 10 minutes. Or simply, I need to go grab some food.
So simple. It was great talking to you about X. I have to go do Y.
Yes. And if you want to be really polite, you add a hope. I hope you have a great time at the party. Or I hope your car gets fixed easily.
That leaves a positive impression. It is better to end a conversation on a high note than to let it drag on until you're both staring at the floor.
Absolutely. Leave them wanting more.
Ria, before we finish up today, I want to do a little role play. A bad one versus a good one, just to show the difference really clearly.
I love role plays. Let's do it. What is the scenario?
We are at a bus stop. We are waiting for the bus. It is late.
Okay. I will start with the bad version, the one where I kill the conversation.
Go ahead.
The bus is late.
Yeah, it's always late.
It is cold.
Yeah.
Okay, stop. That was painful. I felt the pain physically.
I felt it too. I didn't give you anything to work with. I just made statements.
Okay, now let's try the good version. Same scenario. Bus stop, late bus.
I cannot believe this bus is late again. I'm going to be late for my cooking class. Do you take this bus often?
Oh no, a cooking class? Yes, I take it every day, unfortunately. What are you cooking today?
We're supposed to be making sushi. I've never done it before. I'm terrified I'm going to mess up the rice. Do you like sushi?
I love sushi, but I've never tried making it. That sounds so difficult, but fun.
See? That was effortless.
It was because you added information. You didn't just say, the bus is late. You said, the bus is late and I have a cooking class. That gave me something to hook on to. I could ask about the class.
And I asked you a question immediately. Do you take this bus often?
Yes, you opened the door. In the first version, you closed the door. In the second version, you opened it wide and invited me in.
It's amazing how just a few extra words can change everything. It's about generosity, being generous with your words.
That is a beautiful way to put it. Conversational generosity. Don't be stingy with your thoughts. Share them, even if they're simple.
Ria, what about the people who say, my life is boring, I have nothing to share. I go to work, I come home, I sleep. How can I be generous with my words?
Oh, nobody's life is that boring. If you look closely, there is always something. Did you see a weird cloud? Did your boss wear a funny tie? Did you drink a coffee that was too hot?
So it's about observation.
Yes, observation and attitude. You can tell a boring story about going to the supermarket, or you can make it an adventure. It's about how you frame it. Guess what happened at the supermarket? They were out of milk. Can you believe it? The panic.
You make buying milk sound like an action movie.
You have to. You have to add your own flavor. English is just the vehicle. You are the driver. You decide if the drive is boring or exciting.
I love that. Listeners, are you hearing this? You are the driver. Do not let the grammar dictate the journey.
And Tom, one last thing. Smile.
Smile?
Yes. When you speak, smile. It changes your voice. It makes you sound friendlier. It makes people want to talk to you. You can hear a smile even on a podcast.
I can definitely hear your smile, Ria, and it helps. It relaxes me.
It relaxes the other person too. If you look terrified, the other person feels tense. If you smile, you are signaling, hey, this is fun. We are just two humans making noises at each other to connect. It is not that serious.
Two humans making noises to connect. When you strip it down to that, it really isn't scary.
It isn't. We are social animals. We need connection. Language is just the tool we use. Don't worship the tool. Focus on the connection.
This has been such an inspiring conversation, Ria. I feel like I want to go out and talk to a stranger right now.
Do it! Go find someone. Ask them a question. Use an open ending. Use a bridge phrase. Try the echo.
I will. And for our listeners, I hope you feel the same way. Keeping a conversation going isn't about having a dictionary in your brain. It is about curiosity, listening, and being willing to share a little bit of yourself.
And forgiving yourself when it gets awkward. Because it will get awkward sometimes. And that is okay. Laugh about it and move on.
Absolutely. Do not let one awkward silence stop you from 1,000 future conversations.
Well said, Tom.
Thank you, Ria. And thank you to everyone listening to Real English Voices. We appreciate you so much. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and don't be afraid of the silence.
Bye, everyone. See you in the next episode.
Bye.